comes to boys being molested and raped?
Well,
that's not very common in Gambia.
It's not very commonly talked about. And I was going to add, when you asked about statistics, we may not have documented statistics from any major organization. But what you can look at is a simple Google search on the Observer website. If you go on dailyobserver.gm and you just Google, you just search for the word rape or molestation, you see a series of it in our cases. Hardly a week passes by without a story coming into court about somebody being molested or raped. Really? And that shows you how serious it is. And the problem of it not being reported, yes, in Gambia we have taboos and things like that, but it's also worldwide. I mean, this is something that not just physically affects somebody, but mentally. Who are you going to talk about? You know, talk to it about. It's like, you know, you get blamed, you're afraid you're going to get blamed, you know, and there are just so many problems associated with it.
Outside Gambia, people talk about it freely. You have people that petition, people that do certain things, demonstrate, go cancelling and things like that. But it's very difficult in our society because you can't really, we don't have that platform or that relationship where we can just go to our mom and say, oh, ki def na madara or ki def ma hole ni or def ma la in an inappropriate way. It's very difficult, and you can't blame the kids because we're very vulnerable, and then the stigma around it. It might be very traumatizing for a child to be able to face a parent or an adult to say somebody has touched me in an inappropriate way.
It is indeed very traumatizing because I have seen a victim of rape who was actually 10, but this victim she's what's it called, autistic. She can't even talk for herself, and it's like, according to the mom, after she was raped for months, she would have nightmares and scream.
And this is in Gambia?
And this is in the Gambia. And I have seen 4-year-old rape victims in the Gambia. So it's like, it's something that people don't talk about. And then the victims usually don't tell people because you're always thinking, it's my fault. If you are old enough to start to be able to think for yourself. But if you're like 4 or 5, you go to your parents and you're like, oh, so-and-so did this and this to me. They'd be like, no, do digga.
But then sometimes it's a problem because a parent will just send you, oh, they must say uncle deal, exactly. And then you go there. This is your mom who asked you to go and see your uncle, and then but being naive, friendly, right?
You don't even know
it's wrong because in a very inappropriate way, very disturbing way. But don't come now because the uncle that's why I don't understand Lolo.
I mean, some of them get molested, and then you have the rapists themselves tell them so go ahead it didn't let her flee, or so go ahead say I didn't let hurt or something. We have stories where people actually tell us daf mako def ba pare munema so go ahead it didn't let. You understand? These are kids. You tell them exactly. They threaten to hurt someone that is there to you. So nitsulawa hello yo yange think about say I bunwara ray wala sa sister bunwara hurt. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to go to anybody because you want to protect those people. So you choose to keep the story to yourself. So that is also a barrier. It's something that keeps these kids because hala you now like tangleni tita tangleni ragalo. So they cannot really go there and tell their parents ki lila madef. Because ako has a parent mugom na farem akip ko kunono. Understand? So munyo maybe he does not even carry out the threat, but it is just there in the child's mind. So it's a problem for them to come out and talk about this.
And one of the things is it actually continues. It's not a lot of these cases. It's not a one-time thing.
No, it doesn't stop.
Yeah, you do it once and the child just, you know, quiets down and doesn't say a word, and then it keeps continuing for years.
So what is GAM doing about this?
First thing is we want to raise awareness. We want people to talk about it. So not to blame anybody, but for every one of us to be aware that this is a reality in our society. It's not just something that happens overseas or in the newspapers. It could be someone very close to you. When that article came out, Gordon's article on Balafong, at first it was quiet, and then you saw people that you actually know that have never talked about this. They come and comment and say, this happened to me. So
you have a platform where people express themselves and then share their experiences.
Yes, now we have, we just launched it last week, speakup.gm.
That is a part of GAM?
It is a part of GAM, but this is a page where people that don't want to come forth with true stories, I mean, they just come, it's anonymous. Even the people that run the website don't know who actually wrote on it. I mean, we have some programmers on Balafong, and they actually helped build this website. People like Sirin and Ran, you know, and they built this website, and it's there for people to just come. Anybody can come and put your story down. But GAM's goals and objectives are mainly, one, we want to sensitize the public. We want everybody to be aware that this is out there, and so they can do something about it and listen, talk to your kids, talk to your little nephews and nieces, and even adults, because rape doesn't just stop with kids. And then along with that, we want to also, in future, start helping prosecute offenders. So maybe we'll have a hotline in the future where everybody, it will be popular, everybody can say, okay, if I dial 111, I can reach GAM, and then we will, of course, work with legal practitioners and things like that to help you state your case. And also provide help for victims. Because as we said, this is not just a physical abuse, but it's also a mental abuse, and it stays with victims for years, where you have nightmares about it. Your relationship with men, if in the case of women, you know, becomes affected. And so get counseling, get trained people to work with these people and help them recover as much as they can from this.
You're all young people. I mean, you're not professionals when it comes to counseling and psychology and things like that. How do you hope to assist victims? How do you hope to counsel them? Are you going to train yourselves and then provide services, or how do you go about it? Because what I can see now is just the passion and then the objective of fighting and eradicating rape and molestation in Gambia.
We're looking to get all GAM volunteers trained. Currently, the interim president of GAM, Sirandao, she just completed a training course on counseling of rape victims in San Francisco. It was sponsored by San Francisco Women Against Rape and Molestation, and she just completed it and she's certified, so now she will be able to teach others, and then in that process we'll all learn, because it's a learning process. It's not final. We'll all learn to be able to counsel victims and then how to help them get over their nightmares, in a sense.
And along with that, we don't just intend to do it all by ourselves. I mean, right now, before we all get trained, if somebody came up and said, this is what I'm going through, we will see if we can find referrals. Somebody else that's trained, an organization with professional expertise in this.
But even with these professionals, do you consider inviting other people like child care services or the Child Protection Alliance, social welfare, or all stakeholders to be part of the organization, the executive, or to be trainers?
Right now on the speakup.gm site, there is a section that talks about frequently asked questions. That is for people who want to share their stories and maybe have doubts about certain issues about the website. So we have this section that talks about who is going to help me after sharing my story. So we refer them to the Child Protection Alliance. So because we feel these people are more trained, they're more qualified in this domain, they deal with all sorts of abuse, so they can actually contact the CPA. But for the future, we're hoping everybody jumps in, because GAM cannot do this alone. We have members all over the world, and these are things that mostly happen in the Gambia. For now, our focus is the Gambia, you know, and Gambians that have gone through this. So we're hoping all the stakeholders, all organizations that have things to do with, you know, violence against women, that have to do with, you know, sexual violence and molestation, would come up and then work together with GARM so we can provide the services we need to the survivors.
And how long have you existed for?
We've been
We just celebrated our first year.
First year.
Yeah, and we're legally registered now.
Okay.
Also. And along with what Gemma, to add to what she just said, like last year, I think around this time, we were here invited to the Fatu Show again, talking about Tutapak, which was a social menace that we felt strongly about, and we tackled it. But we don't look to work alone. For that one, we were very fortunate and very grateful that we had support from the government. We made the noise, and the government came forth. Fatu Show was very supportive, and they came forth and helped. We worked very closely with the Child Protection Alliance, also the general public. I mean, you walk and you see people on the street and they tell you, look, we hear what you're trying to do, and we're all here to support you. So all of this is not something that we can do on our own. but what we want to do and what we are confident will happen is more people from all quarters, all sectors will come forward.